Hello, big tractor power fans. Morning. So lots of stuff happening today again. Another busy day. So the Momentum, they are switching it over to do some beans. They're going to plant in this field. We got one of the AGCO guys doing a tillage trial in that field right now. He's finishing it up. And then for some reason, we have a deputy sheriff and another car in our driveway. So this is the first I've been around the sunflower. Looks like it does a pretty good job, especially in the spring. Now they're not going very deep with it at all, just kind of scratching the surface, but it looks to do a pretty good job. So we're heading back here to the field where Dad was at. So last night we kind of ended the video a little abruptly. We ended up having some issues with our planter. I think most of it is our fault on the install, and it started getting dark and we were taking parts off in the dark and we were losing parts, so we decided to wait till this morning to come over and take a look at it. Basically, I think we installed our Keaton seed brackets in a manner in which they are putting things in a bind on the seed tube, which is causing poor singulation. And unfortunately, that's one of the parts that Dad, BJ, and I installed. So we're getting ready to do a test run. Basically, we took a couple seed brackets off, Keaton seed brackets. We didn't have enough shims last night to really do that. Like I said, we started losing parts, so Dad and Evan had already done that when I got here, so he's just getting ready to make a test run. Basically, we only did it on a couple units. We're going to see if that improves the singulation, and if it does, we're going to reshim or take off the rest of the Keatons. We'll see how it goes. I have to tell George, I found him a love stone. George is the rock collector of the crew. Building flower beds, he does. Walking behind here looking at some things. Dad and Evan are changing some settings, but we can see our poly twisters, they really seem to be doing a really good job. We definitely need to adjust our row cleaners. These do adjust from the cab, but they are slotted, so right now Dad's got them all the way up, but we can manually raise them up a couple slots. Need to do that when it rains. Shouldn't be gouging this much. Should just barely be trickling that dirt out of the way. But really like the poly twisters. They seem to be doing a really good job, especially compared to the closing wheels we've always had before. Normally I can find the trench pretty easy. These twisters are kind of collapsing it, and it is a little harder to find. Let's see where our seed's at. Oh, there we go. So there's our little future money maker. That's the depth gauge you never lose. Every seed company or planter company always gives you a seed tool to dig. It has a set of measurements on it. Really nice. Never have it when you need it. Like ever. So if you're new to the channel and you're wondering what is going on here, why there's so many people, different planters, different tractors running. So we are getting started planting corn. This is our corn planter. This is the corn planter we just rebuilt this winter. Over at the other farm where we started off this morning, that is AGCO's planter, that Fendt planter. That is not our planter. AGCO is putting in a crop tour plot. So since it's an AGCO plot and AGCO is the one collecting data off of it, they use their planter to do it so they can kind of product test and verify their technologies and stuff. So that's why the Momentum planter is here. That's why the sunflower tillage tool is here. And that's why all the people in the white trucks are here. Oh look, our corn planter's it's growing cell phones. Just leave that there. I didn't know this was an apple planter. All right, going on a seed run. I think I spoiled Dad. I let him use the nice seed tender. He liked that. All right, let's find the seed. He told me what number he needed. I can't remember. Better call him. And then we got to find it in the pile of Pro boxes. He was going to plant this one. That's the wrong one. One thing we're trying to do this year is be better about our seed placement. So we had an agronomist go through all of our seeds and our soil samples and basically tell us what they thought would work better where. So Dad's got a list in the tractor of what seed goes where. We have a whole crap ton of varieties. That's one thing nice about the high-speed planter. We're able to do things like this more often because we're able to cover more acres. So While this takes more time than normal, normally we would just put 2 boxes of whatever seed was in front in the tender and go. Now we can, be a little bit more picky because we're able to cover more ground in an hour once we do get planted. So even with this extra time we're spending shuffling seed varieties, we still should be covering more acres per day. So one of these boxes will plant roughly, they're 50 unit boxes. They should plant roughly, let me think here, we're planting on an average about 33,000 seeds per acre. There's 80,000 seeds in a unit. So we're about 120, 130 acres a box. There's our corn. I'm guessing this is 107, Dave. There's the bean we're planting. We are getting seed for the momentum for their tillage plot. They're planting beans into that plot. So with this under for scale, I can see how much seed I have in there. I know how many acres they're going to cover, what rate we're going to put it on. So we're going to get just the right amount of beans because I'm using this tender for dad today with corn also. I don't want to tie it up with beans. So one slight hiccup for today, I am out of graphite talc mix. So if you don't know what that is, it's basically baby powder with a little bit of graphite in it. It's what we sprinkle on top of the seed, keeps it, it's like a seed lubricant, basically helps the seed meters turn like they should. I don't have much left, especially at high speeds. It's very important to make sure your meters wear right. And we are apparently out. So this field that they're planting now, we actually did the crop tour plot here last year. When we were done, we decided to do a tillage plot. So we've got vertical till, we got chisel plow, we got no-till, and then we got no-till with cover crops. So it'd be interesting to see if we can see any kind of yield difference in this as this progresses. Man, it's all coming back to me. I remember seeing the monitor anyways.
Good.
Actually, I don't remember anything, to be honest with you.
Nothing's really changed in the monitor.
Yeah.
Just software.
So last year I ran one of these planters for a good bit of acres, and I remember looking at the monitor, but I don't remember the basic controls, but not a whole lot different. This one is a 31 row with markers. That's different. One last year was a 32 row. I think that's new for this year, isn't it, Derek?
Yeah, for model year 22. Markers and 31 row and 47 row.
Yeah, sweet. So this planter's pretty well loaded up with all the latest and greatest. We got fertilizer, we got furrow force, smart firmers, all sorts of cool stuff. We got clean sweeps, just no sweeps. Which, it doesn't matter, we're in pretty work ground. So we're planting at 140,000. Just straight rating this field, not gonna variable rate it. Normally we would be variable rating seed, but with this being a plot, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to do that. It takes a little bit of uniformity out of the equation if we do that. So one of the main really neat things about the momentum is how flexible it is. Unfortunately in this field we're not going to see a lot of that because this is one of our more level fields, but it has a contouring toolbar, and if you missed that, just check some of our videos from last year where we really showed it off. Pretty neat technology, and the weight distribution system on it works pretty good. Pretty cool to see, and it's the first planter I've ever been around or that I even know of that has those features from the factory. So one of the main really neat things about the momentum is how flexible it is. Unfortunately in this field we're not going to see a lot of that because this is one of our more level fields, but it has a contouring toolbar, and if you missed that, just check some of our videos from last year where we really showed it off. Pretty neat technology, and the weight distribution system on it works pretty good. Pretty cool to see, and it's the first planter I've ever been around or that I even know of that has those features from the factory. So this planter does have what's called furrow force, which is a closing system, but it's only on the corn rows. This is a very expensive system. Seems to work pretty well. I mean, you can see the closing it's doing a pretty good job. versus the old traditional style. That's the furroforce, that's the traditional style. So it works pretty well. It's just really expensive option. So this planter is only outfitted with it on the corn rows, because with corn, it's much more critical to have good closing. With beans will literally grow on the ground with enough moisture. One other piece of technology this planter does, auto inflates when you get to the field. So see how low our tire pressure is? Makes for less field compaction to help with the weight distribution. Alright, so they're going to finish planting their plot here. I'm going to go find some chow and then maybe do some tillage. We'll see how it goes. All right, had to get a little bit of drone footage of that thing before we left, but now we're gonna hop in our 1038, play around with the sunflower a little bit. Grab some lunch. I guess that's extra lunch. Grab some energy, and let's go. Yeah, I'm gonna be really anxious to see how this tillage plot goes. That's one question that we as farmers always have, is are we tilling just for the sake of tilling, or are we actually accomplishing anything? So it will be interesting to see how that works for us this time. So as you can see, this ground completely no-till. There's 2 passes of nothing. In the cover crop trial, there's different populations in that cover crop trial, so yeah, lots of cool stuff should come out of that data, or out of that field when we take the combines through it. So right here we chisel plowed a wet spot last year, so I'm going over it with this sunflower tillage tool, try to level it up a little bit. This thing is very aggressive, especially for a vertical till. It's a lot more aggressive than I'm used to, but for trying to level off something that was worked as heavy as we worked this with the chisel plow, it's doing pretty good. Now this right here, this is just this is actually outside of where I chisel plowed. I just kind of wanted to go over here a little bit too. It looks like it's been laying wet, so maybe this will help fluff it up and dry it out, I guess. I don't know, we'll see. Man, BJ is going to love strip tilling this. We're supposed to be running about 7. Got my minimum RPMs at 1300, but we are just pulling hard. Now, I've been over this a few times now trying to smooth it up. It's real cloddy. This is some of the heavier dirt we have. This is a wet spot. There's actually an 8-inch tile line right under here to try to drain it. It's definitely helped since we did the tile line. Did that a few years ago. I had a guy do it for us. But this ground still is somewhat wet. It's part of the reason why we ran the chisel plow over it, hoping we could maybe open up a little bit of the surface compaction. Probably need to run the ripper over it about once or twice every couple years, so maybe we'll start doing that too. Alright, so we did our play, and let's take this thing back over to the grain bins. My daughter has a softball game in roughly 45 minutes. I'm going to attempt to still go to all of her games during planting season, and my son's t-ball games. I don't know if it'll happen. I'm sure there'll be times where it doesn't, but I'm going to make a good effort. Emmy, did you win your softball game? That's right. Bye. Have a good time. So we were victorious, but it's about to rain in about an hour, so helping Dad shuffle some stuff around. He just finished the cornfield he was planting. I don't think BJ's going to finish the field he's stripping in, but we got to start moving some equipment back. Looks like we got a pretty strong cell of rain coming, so batten down the hatches. Got to pick up Dad. He brought his rock saw over. They were using it to drive alongside the planter. Take him after his truck. So when we get this rain, my goal is to get our bean planter out and ready to go. Normally I would have been planting beans by now, but we've been just focused on other things. Corn planter mostly. Alright, made it back just in time, got everything put up. This rain will be good for the corn we just got planted. It should help everything shoot right out of the ground. It's still like 75 degrees, so good weather for corn growing. Now, with any luck, this won't set in or drop like 1 inch in an hour. Hopefully it'll be a nice soaking rain if I'm going to be real picky, and then we can get back to planting in a few days, but we have plenty of rain day jobs to do. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you in the next one.